Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's episode of Conversations with Carp. I'm Athletic Director Josh Gooch, and we're switching it up as I will be interviewing Steve Carpenter, Hutchinson's Sports Information Director. He has been conducting interviews with many of Blue Dragon Nation, those that have an impact on Blue Dragon athletics and the Blue Dragon Nation at large. But today we're going to switch gears. I'm going to be the one delivering the interview questions, so you'll have to bear with me. You have the second string in, so to speak, and at any rate, let's get going. Steve Carpenter, welcome to Conversations with Carp.
Why, thank you. It is a little bit different being on this side of the phone as opposed to being where you're at with all the recording stuff.
Well, Steve, you've done a fine job of keeping Blue Dragon Nation and those just in general connected with your Conversation with Carp podcast, and so I thought it was important to just let everybody else kind of hear a little bit more about you, the things that you do for the Blue Dragon athletic department, and just Hutchinson Community College in general. So I'm going to kick it off with the first question. Carp, what led you to Hutchinson Community College?
Well, before coming to Hutchinson Community College officially in 2004, I was still, I worked kind of part-time for them, late 2003, early 2004. I was a sports editor at 3 different newspapers in 2 different states. The last 8 years before coming over here, the sports editor of the Hutchinson News. It was my second newspaper where I really kind of got a passion for junior college athletics. I was the beat writer and the sports editor covering Mid-Plains Knights in North Platte, Nebraska for the North Platte Telegraph, and they had a very good junior college athletic program, a small one albeit with not many sports, but Kevin O'Connor, the men's basketball coach and athletic director at Mid-Plains, which is now called North Platte Community College, was a very good friend, and he really helped me create a passion for junior college athletics. And when I got the job at Hutchinson at the News, I thought, wow, I get to cover the national tournament every year, and it was just it was a neat ride the way it all worked out. That I go from just covering one junior college team to coming to the mecca of junior college athletics in Hutchinson, then ultimately being the sports information director at Hutchinson Community College.
Carp, I firsthand know just how valuable are to Hutchinson Community College athletics in your role as sports information director. The rest of the conference, in Kansas Jayhawk Community College Conference, SIDs are a close-knit group. Do you guys share ideas amongst your group?
You bet. We have a very close-knit group. When I first started in 2004 here, I was only the 5th full-time SID in the league. Now, almost every school, I think 20 of the 21 have some at least part-time SID presence in their departments. We have put together over the last 3 years the Sports Information Directors Association. We are a very close-knit group. Sure, we want our teams to beat the other teams and everything, but it's a very big collaborative effort because we have to work together in doing stats and just making sure that all that stuff is properly taken care of. And yeah, we talk a lot about ideas. I know other schools have jumped on board with podcasts during the downtime, but I think kind of everybody looks at everybody else and maybe takes a little bit from one school, takes a little bit from another school. It's a collaborative effort, and I've got a great group of guys to work with. Todd Moore at Barton, he's a longtime SID up there. He's a great friend. He's also vice president of the Sports Information Directors Association. Him and I work hand in hand on a lot of different stuff with the players of the week and everything. I couldn't do it without those guys, and I really appreciate all the efforts of all the league's SIDs.
Each school that we go to, they're always so complimentary of the job that you do, and then of course when they come to our home contest, the amenities that you provide for them, game day notes and all that, that's really appreciated. I know they think highly of you, and you're well respected within that ranks. Carp, besides your SID duties here at Hutchinson Community College, Steve, what else keeps you busy during a normal day, a normal week?
Well, there are plenty of SID things to do, but I also have motor pool duties, and that was attached to the position when I first took over full-time in 2004. I'm in charge of dispersing out our motor pool to not just the athletic department, but the entire campus. And it used to be a very cumbersome experience because it was all done on paper, and I was in charge of all the maintenance and everything. But as the time has gone past, and I'm in my 16th year here at the college now, you helped streamline the process of getting the cars booked. You brought some ideas to the table when you first took over as athletic director. Jim Brannon is our full-time mechanic. He took over the bus driver scheduling part of it, and it's made it a lot easier on me. Basically, do a better job of making sure everybody has a car when they need it. I know they're going to be maintained. I don't have to take the time to do that, so I'm very appreciative of your ideas when you first took over as athletic director. But JP, he has a very big hand in this because he also does all the maintenance. We used to outsource all the maintenance, and then when they made JP the full-time mechanic here, he took over all the maintenance of the cars. Still, when we have big stuff, like we have to replace brakes, that type of stuff, recalls, we still take them back to the shops. But JP has taken a big load out of all that. And then that just gives me more time to do day-to-day sports information stuff. And that part of it is a job that continues to grow with technology. When I first started, a road trip would consist of 2 bags, my computer bag and my printer bag. Now it's those 2 bags plus video, audio, equipment when we go on a road trip. I'll never, ever complain, my wife Tina, overpacking for a vacation because I'm taking 10 bags on one road trip for one night.
Carp, there's just so much that goes into what you do on a game night or a game day. So just kind of tell the listeners what a normal work week looks like for you.
Well, it really starts on Monday, and Mondays are a grind. Early in the morning, I have to make sure that we have all of our stats into the league and national office. Fortunately, that has been streamlined as well. Where you used to have to do it 3 times, now you only have to do it once, and it goes on our website, the league website, and the national website. But that all has to be done by a certain time to make sure that we stay in compliance and don't get our head coaches into trouble. After we get those in, I have to put together our Player of the Week nominations, and in the fall and spring, it's not so bad in the winter because we only have basketball going. But in the fall, I'll have to send in at least 7 nominations because you have to do 3 for football, 3 for volleyball, actually 8, 2 for soccer, and then in baseball, or in spring season, I'm turning in at least 8 to 10 nominations for just our athletes to be considered for Player of the Week, and that's just on the league level. And then as my position with the Sports Information Directors Association, I'm all the voting committees too. So I vote on all those, get all that done. We have a weekly press conference on Mondays that we right now is in hiatus, obviously because of the pandemic. But we have all of our in-season coaches come in and talk to the media, and when they want athletes to come in to talk to, we bring the athletes in for them to talk to. We're 2 years into that now. And then you throw on top of all that social media graphics, which probably on an average day is 4 to 6, and on game days it's through the roof. I have to do graphics for video boards for game days. You try to get those done in advance. You have to get the game programs done ahead of time because obviously you have to get them over the print. It's not a deal where I can finish it the morning of a game, get it over to print, get them back. The print shop is swamped, so I have to make sure I get those game programs over. And then there's on game nights, they're set up for the games. We'll be setting up 3 to 4 hours in advance. Football is almost 5 for me because I'll get the program or the press box done early, get the video board all hooked up. We have the kitchenette area that I take care of. stuff even that goes down to making little placards to put on the table for, to show where sponsors sit at our scorers table, placards up in the press box. There's so many little intricate things that go even before the game starts that I have to do. SIDs are always the first ones to get there and the last ones to leave on game day. And then, obviously we do the game. I do the stats. Or excuse me, if it's a women's basketball game, I'm on the radio. If it's a baseball game, I'm doing play-by-play on the Blue Dragon Sports Network. Then after the games, obviously I have to write those reports up and put them on the website and make sure all that's done. So it's a busy day, busy week for me, but it's something I love to do. I always thought when I left the journalism field that being a sports information director would be the next logical progression of my career, and it's the best move I ever made.
Steve, we could maybe devote another conversation with the Carp just for all the duties that you do. I know that I'm the recipient of so many of your tasks, and I probably throw you off more than anybody just bringing you one more thing. Can we do this one more thing? But I'm certainly appreciative for all the effort you put in, and I know there's no office hours for a leader like yourself.
No, it's whenever you gotta get it done. Division I SIDs have the luxury of having 4 to 5 full-time SIDs plus a whole bunch of students in there. The University of Nebraska actually has 7 full-time SIDs, and they have students all under them. So that staff's up around 25 or 30, and that's just the SID. That's not even social media. And Division I's have their own social media departments now. It's like I said, it's what I want to do. I want to be at a junior college, and I want to be at Hutchinson Community College for the duration of my career.
With this pandemic, how is the new normal affecting your day to day?
Well, there's still plenty of stuff to do. When it happened, obviously, we were right in the midst of the state basketball tournament, and I was preparing to, as soon as the state tournament was over, get on the bus with the women's basketball team and go to Lubbock for the women's national tournament. Obviously, all that got kiboshed. So it's been different. That Saturday of the state finals, I kept looking at the clock thinking, okay, it's 4:10. We should be just tipping off the women's championship game now. My wife, Tina, was about ready to slap me that first day. So my body adjustment, it's probably been as tough because I'm so used to going, working 18, 20 hours a day during the month of March. And I went from 90 to 0 in a matter of milliseconds. So that was the biggest adjustment for me. But for now, there's always stuff to do. Obviously, we created the podcast to keep our fans and Blue Dragon Nation in touch with our athletic department, but there's always updating of the website. You and I went through some things that we need to update, and I'm in the process of doing that. Yesterday, I actually went through and updated everybody's bio. I won't post those until June 1 when the new year rolls over in terms of the website. But I've already got everybody's bios all updated, but there's records to be updated. And as the SID at Hutchinson Community College, there's always records to update, which is just fine with me because that just tells me we're doing well in terms of our competition, our teams, and everything. But yeah, there's plenty of stuff to do. But I don't work as many hours. That's been, my body still doesn't know what to do with all the sleep I'm getting. I'm getting a little stir crazy at night with nothing going on. I can only watch the 2015 World Series so often.
This brings us to the question I want to ask you. Most of the listeners out there know how big a sports fan you are. And so I'm going to name off a league, and you tell me who your favorites are.
Okay.
So let's start with the real easy one. NCAA Division I athletics.
That would be the University of Nebraska, which is obvious. I'm Nebraska born and bred, and when your first vivid memory is the 1971 game of the century and Johnny Rogers running the punt return back in the first quarter against Oklahoma, you just kind of get hooked real fast. Husker athletics, not just football, but Husker athletics is is my bread and butter.
So that was a softball question, and of course that ties into your Twitter handle, which is
Husker 1965, which was the year I was born, which I shouldn't probably let out, but yes, I'm getting old.
I've learned real quick not to bring up what the scores of any of those Husker games are when we're traveling on the road.
Well, you've actually gotten to see firsthand me at a Nebraska game in Lincoln, and I think you saw a real change in personality as the game was going on.
I stand back. I understand that. Okay, let's talk about NFL.
NFL, easily the Chiefs. Growing up in Omaha, you always have a lot of Kansas City influx into Omaha, so to me it was a pretty easy pick into the Chiefs. Obviously this year, wonderful experience winning the Super Bowl. At least I can stop joking that I was actually live the last time the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, so I've got 2 under my belt now, which is nice. It was a fun year.
Major League Baseball.
Kansas City Royals, and there's a little more to it than that, other than the Omaha Kansas City thing, but the Omaha Royals were the AAA team of the Kansas City Royals growing up. My dad would always take me to Omaha Royals games, so I got to see George Brett, Frank White, Willie Wilson, all those guys in the minor leagues before they were ever called up to the big league Royals, and once they did and took off, it was easy pickings for me. Lifelong Royals fan.
Okay, NHL.
Chicago Blackhawks, and Drew Dallas is a Blues fan, which we didn't hold that against him when we hired him as football coach. But I've been a lifelong Blackhawks fan as well. I picked my teams very young, and I've stayed loyal to them all. But the Blackhawks, just kind of that whole atmosphere. One, they're a great franchise, and they won 3 Stanley Cups between 2010 and 2015. But the old madhouse on Madison, Chicago Stadium, that old horn when the Hawks would score, that really got me attracted to the Hawks. Plus their style of play. Once they got it going again in 2010, the only place to be in Chicago is the United Center. Almost 19,000 maniacs. Blackhawks hockey is pretty special to me.
That always provides some good banter around here. I know you and a lot of your social media friends banter about the NHL. Okay, how about the NBA?
Not really a fan of it anymore. I used to follow very closely. I was I really didn't have a true team, but during the later stages, I really liked the Indiana Pacers because Larry Bird was the coach and the GM, and they played the game the right way. The Spurs, they played the game the right way with Tim Duncan and David Robinson. But basically, since Shaq and Kobe got together with the Lakers, it stopped being fun for me. The game itself has changed so much. It's all about one person now. It's not a team game. So really, I'm not an NBA fan anymore.
Any other sports that you're a fan of that I didn't bring up?
Well, let's see here. I do like a lot of sports, but I follow those 4 major ones pretty closely. I'm a baseball guy at heart, as a lot of people know. I coached youth baseball and softball for a lot of years. Sammy Lane's doing his best to get me hooked into soccer. I will follow Liverpool from time to time just so I can have a conversation with Sammy because he is a huge Liverpool fan. But so I try to keep my knowledge of soccer up just enough so I can have a conversation with Sammy.
Well, Carp, as many hours as you put in, you have to have a supportive family, so we'd be remiss not to have you tell us about your crew. So tell Blue Dragon Nation about your family.
Well, a lot of them, they've actually, my kids, most of Blue Dragon Nation's actually seen growing up in front of their very eyes. That's why my youngest daughter, Sammy, is like totally freaked out because so many people know her, but our fans have watched her grow up. But my wife, Tina, we met, I actually met delivering furniture to her house. That's how we first met. But we just celebrated our 33rd anniversary, and I don't know how that woman does it. Puts up with me in the hours, but she is a saint. We had four wonderful children. Two are actually 30 or older now, which is kind of scary to think. But our oldest son, Chris, he and his wife, Ivana, live down in Texas. He's a market manager down there and doing very well. Andy, who helps me out with a lot of video stuff here, is now a finished carpenter here in town. And he and his wife, Samantha, have three children, Karen, Hope, and Parker. Those are my three grandkids. Karen's 14. She's adopted. And then Hope is 5, and Parker is 2, going on 38 sometimes. That child is nonstop. Then my oldest daughter, Stephanie, who's also done a lot of stuff for me here at the college over the years. She's in Lincoln, Nebraska. She is the box office manager for the Lincoln Stars Hockey Club, and she's a huge hockey fan. As much as I love hockey, I think she has taught me in terms of loving hockey. But she's engaged and will be married next year to a wonderful guy by the name of Justin Doyle. So they live in Lincoln. And then my youngest, Samantha, she is a freshman this year at Hutchinson High, Solhawk volleyball player. And it's, I couldn't do what I do without those guys. I have my brother close in Wichita. My mom lives here in town at the Legends retirement home. Don't get to see her right now because of the pandemic. They have all that locked down. But I have a great support system here in terms of my immediate family. I talk to my sister all the time. But I've also got my Blue Dragon family, too. You, Steve Carpenter, Scott Brooks, and Julie Renault, all the coaches. You're always so supportive of me. And so I actually have two very solid families who support me in my endeavors. So I'm very fortunate.
Well, Steve, it's easy to support somebody that does it as well as you. And with the family so supportive, it allowed you to, I want to brag on you here, to this year you were the recipient of the Mary Ellen Like Service Award, which is the most tenured honor handed out by the association. It's given to those who have made significant contributions to two-year college athletics on a national level, and you're so well respected that this year you were the recipient of that, along with another lady from Nassau Community College. But congratulations on that. Kind of tell the audience maybe what that meant to you.
I was very humbled by that. I just do my job, and to be recognized like that, it's a very humbling experience. I'm very honored, and the fact that it's named after Mary Ellen. A real quick funny story about that. When we were at the World Series in 2010 out in Grand Junction, we had all decided before, as the playoff season started, the postseason started, we were all going to go playoff beards. And obviously I was with the baseball team full time because I was doing play-by-play for them. So we've all got these playoff beards, and we won the sub-regional, we won the regional, and then it was about 10 days from the regional to when we actually went to Grand Junction. So I've almost got a month's worth of beard grown, and I'm headed up to the press box at Plesio Stadium out in Grand Junction. Mary Ellen walks, who was the executive director of the NJCAA at the time. She walks out of the press box, didn't recognize me right away, got about 10, 15 feet past me, turns around and yells at me, "Carp, is that you?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You're never allowed to wear a beard in Grand Junction ever again." So I haven't worn a beard since.
Well, beard or no beard, Carp, you're the best in the business. I know that just isn't what I think. I know that's what many, many think and truly believe, and know how much you make an impact on Blue Dragon Nation and Blue Dragon Athletics. Before we close, is there anything else that you'd like to add to Blue Dragon Nation?
I love being here. I love everything that I do. There's a lot of hours to it, but that's just the way it is. That's why Hutchinson Community College is as recognizes. We have people who put the work in, and that's why it's special here. It's not just me; it's everybody. We've got a great leader in yourself who shows us the way, who gives us opportunities to succeed, And I can't think of another place that I would ever want to be. Even if Nebraska would call now, I'm not sure I would leave right now because and there's still stuff I want to accomplish here. So, but I'm very blessed to be here, and I hope we're here for a lot more years.
Well, Carp, thanks for joining me for this edition of Conversations with Carp, and that'll be a wrap for this edition, folks. Thanks for listening, and we hope to again be back to normal soon. But until then, we'll be coming to you through these podcasts. Good night, Blue Dragon Nation.